Hi, I'm John Sicotte, Executive Editor of the Brewer Magazine. Welcome to another edition of the Brewer Magazine podcast. We are sponsored by Keg Logistics. You can go to keglogistics.com/brewermag for more details. And of course, you can like and subscribe. We'd love it to do if you do that, to YouTube and to Spotify, where you can find the Brewer Magazine podcast. And of course, you can also find us at brewermag.com for all your business resource needs. All right, well, creating a beer festival that stands out to the general public is harder than ever, as festivals have become more proliferant in the country. And the Vermont Brewers Festival has looked for ways to be more than just a beer festival. In this episode, we're going to go behind the scenes with one of the most respected beer fests in the country and the state guild that is running it. Emma Arian, Executive Director of the Vermont Brewers Association, and Nina Hurley, the co-owner of Good Measure Pub and Brewery and the VBA's current treasurer, is giving us a peek behind the curtain. From new ticketing models and educational programming to balancing community and commerce, we're going to dive into what makes a state guild not just functional, but essential. This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency. And we are joined today on the Brewer Magazine podcast with Emma Arian, who is the Executive Director of the Vermont Brewers Association. You see her, and the voice you will hear is from Nina Hurley, the Treasurer of the VBA, and also at Good Measure Pub and Brewery in Northfield, Vermont. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for letting us join you.
Sorry about the technical difficulties. You're not hiding on purpose. Your
No, I promise.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. We had a chance about a month ago to hear about you guys, have your annual beer festival, and I wanted to get a chance to talk with you guys, see how things were going in that aspect. But first off, just how's Vermont beer going for you guys? How's the VBA shaping the role of beer in Vermont right now, Emma?
Absolutely. So the VBA is turning 30 years old this year. We did our first ever statewide collaboration beer. So in April, we were joined with Heather from Hopsteiner at Two Heroes Brewing with about 75 people. They chose a bunch of different hops to make an ale blend and a lager blend. And then 25 breweries took those blends and decided to make whatever beer inspired them in the beginning of their brewing journey and debut them all at the festival. So most of them are in the market now, those that, can them and are distributing them.
That's awesome. And, Nina, exactly like you guys are involved with this as the brewery as well, along with being treasurer. I mean, how's the state of beer for you guys? It obviously has been challenging times over these last few years for breweries, and, kind of how are you guys leaning on the guild to be able to help things push forward for the whole state?
Yeah, I think one really cool thing that the VBA has really been doing is more like technical and educational days. We have a new conference that we're going into our third year, and that's really helped us as brewers looking at new products, new vendors, and also just network more with other brewers and figure out how they're maybe utilizing some of these newer technologies, things like thiolized yeast, terpenes, the futuristic hop products that are out there. And so there's this kind of like fun, young, emerging talent that's really coming through. And a lot of these VBA events help us connect with each other, figure out what everybody else is doing. And so I think it's actually a really exciting time to be in the beer industry because there's so many different things that we can do. And, I think the collaboration for the 30th anniversary was also a cool opportunity to learn about other people's styles and work with other brewers and how they do things versus how we do things.
Sure. And, it's a relatively small state compared to some of the states in the country. How tight net are you guys? I mean, I've driven around Vermont and I got lost in a mountain once. But, when it comes to getting around and seeing people, how much do you guys get, other than maybe the festival, do you guys get a chance to see each other and work together?
Last year, we held 18 events. So those range from the festival and the conference to, hey, we're just meeting at idle time for casual beers after you guys finish up your production day. We do events, at the baseball stadium where we rent out the dugout, and we invite brewers and their families. Folks are putting on a disc golf tournament in August. A lot of casual events. They're kind of easy lifts to just get together and network and try each other's beer.
How many members do you guys have?
We have 58 at this time.
Nice. And how has it grown? How it, like, as your role as executive director, and I know here in Ohio, Mary always pounding the pavement, getting around the entire state, just to make sure that you're being involved. I mean, how much of that is your job being, it's keeping people together?
100%. I think it's being a voice of reason and kind of a therapist for a lot of folks, and connecting them, to resources to help them grow and survive. And I think Vermont is so collaborative. If Brewer A needs hops, he'll text Brewer B, and they'll work it out. So I think we're a small state, and it's really easy to get around and to see each other. It's like 2.5 hours end to end. So, we can really get together and collaborate.
Yeah.
And another cool thing that we've been working on, we added a new membership tier this year for breweries in progress. So before, you had to be an established brewery and have all your licenses and everything set together in order to become a member of the VBA. But we added a new tier, membership tier, that if you're a brewery that's just starting out, you have access to a lot of our same resources. You can attend the conference at a membership rate. And so that's also, I think, will loop in some of the newer guys earlier in the process so that they can have access to the same resources that our brewers do.
Awesome. And Nina, why is it important to make sure you're a part of the guild? I mean, because I know sometimes you do get breweries where, like, I just don't have the time, I don't have the money, I don't have the effort, I'm trying to just, keep myself above water. But what are those benefits that you guys see, and why you wanted to be, like, a part of the executive board?
I mean, there's a couple of different reasons. One, I think it's important to just support the industry that you're in. For us, it's not a lot of money. And we're getting so many benefits, from resourcing to lobbying, to you get access to join the Vermont Brewers Festival. If you're a member of the VBA, you get to go to the festival, and it's such a huge marketing opportunity for us. After the festival, it's so cool to see how many people come into our tap room and say, "Hey, I tried your beer at the festival and wanted to check you guys out." So that's just a huge, marketing benefit for us. And I think the bind that ties everybody together is that we just want to make good beer. And so connecting with other people who have that same mentality is just really important. And the VBA allows us to do that in a number of different ways, from networking, again, just the resources, and all the different events that get put on.
Absolutely. And I do want to point out, I'm catering to you guys totally by my one Vermont shirt that I have in my closet. So
we'll get you another one. We have an online store. I'll send you the link.
Awesome. I didn't ask. I mean, you offered, so I'm not doing this on purpose. You did mention the festival, though, and I wanted to talk about that. It has gone. I had 32 years. Has it been 32 years this year?
Yep,
was it?
Wrapped up 32 years 2 weeks ago.
Awesome. Yeah, 2 weeks ago when you guys did it. Obviously, beer festivals have evolved over the years. How do you continue to make a beer festival entertaining, enjoyable, and not just standing out in the field drinking beer? I mean, it seems like you guys have thought of this, and it seems like it's been evolving over the years for you guys.
Definitely. I mean, this year was really different because we typically see about 10% of our festival participants come down from Canada, which is about 700 people. So we were looking at the tourism data, seeing a huge drop in decline of Canadians coming across the border. And we decided as a board that we wanted to offer at par ticketing. So essentially, we got rid of the exchange rate, gave them a $17 discount off the price of a ticket. And we got a ton of media coverage because of that, which really helped to promote, what the VBA stands for, which is collaboration and loving your neighbors and supporting each other. However, we only sold 75 Canadian tickets this year. So I think, our efforts were there, and folks emailed us saying, they would love to attend, and they'll be back in 4 years. But I think that was a huge push this year to try and, resonate with our neighbors and show them that we love and support them. So that was one area of marketing that we focused on this year. The second one was the collaboration beers. So we had them all debuted at the festival. A lot of them were festival only, and we had teasers. We went to all of the different collaboration beers and took pictures and posted them on socials, newsletters. So that was a big draw, to get folks to try these one-of-a-kind beers. only at the Vermont Brewers Festival. And then we do a fermentation tent. So kind of an education experience. It's 30 minutes. It includes a brewer. It includes a chef. We had some James Beard nominated chefs join us and someone who does fermenting. And then it was moderated by Jordan Berry, who runs like the food writing of 7 Days, which is our big newspaper here in Vermont. So that was super cool. It's just a panel with questions and samples. And it kind of takes you away from just drinking beer, at Waterfront Park, which is beautiful. It's on a lake facing the Adirondacks, but it allows like the beer nerds, to understand pairings and what goes into fermentation in different aspects outside of beer.
Absolutely. And I caught a video on the Guild website. Beautiful location, like you said, to be able to bring people in and learn more than just, this is a 4-hour drinking session. I think that, the number one thing, and over the years of talking to people and even breweries nowadays, it's not just about opening up and having beer. It's about experience. How important is creating experience and knowing what works and what doesn't? How have you guys, as a board figured that out and continue to look for new ways to be able to push it forward?
I think especially for the festival, we ask ownership and leadership to pour. So if you're a consumer and you go over to Lawson's, Sean Lawson's could be pouring you beer. And I think that's another really big driving point of making sure folks know who's behind the beer. And they can be like, hey, I love that beer from 3 years ago. Could you make it? It's that face-to-face connection that head brewers don't really get because they're not out in the tap room, and the feedback. So I think that's huge.
I think we love this festival. Again, it's fun for a lot of different reasons. We did the fermentation tent for the second year, and it's just really cool to have that different level of interaction with people. But I also think, as we talk about it being, a 4-hour drinking event, there is a lot of the brewers are there. And so there is that interaction that people have with the brewers. And if they like something or have a question about a technique that was used, the brewers or the staff who, help make those beers are able to answer it. So I think will evolve from, a couple of tents to also having kind of those, our friends visit as well. The beers from out of state come in. So
that's awesome. Now, looking on the back end of things, and as a guild, this obviously is a fundraiser for you guys. How does the festival support the guild and get you guys through the year? I know this is probably one of your bigger events, and like you said, you guys have the other ones throughout the year. How important is the festival to you guys as a kind of a fundraiser moneymaker?
Yeah, it is our primary revenue driver, for sure, which 2 years ago when we decided to do the conference and we were seeing a decline in beer festival attendance throughout the United States, we decided that, we need an additional revenue driver. And that's kind of how the conference was birthed, as well as a lot of feedback from brewers asking for it. So we're just working on diversifying away from just the festival, supporting us financially.
Awesome.
And I think it's a hard thing that, everybody is seeing across, all different businesses, that costs for everything is going up, from supplies to salaries. So it is a tough balance, from a leadership perspective of, where we're allocating our resources and, really staying on top of the financial piece.
Yeah. How about let's talk about in the festival, getting things ready. I mean, how much work does it take to put on a statewide beer festival? I know there's some states that don't do this and have thought about doing it. Like, where do you start, and what are some pitfalls that you have seen that you guys have had to overcome in putting a whole statewide beer festival together?
We're really lucky because we've been doing this for 32 years and we have all the spreadsheets, we can see year over year, especially as leadership has changed, how folks have evolved it. So that's the biggest leg up, is that we've been doing it for 32 years and we've worked out the kinks. I will say we have a really great brew crew. So on site, they created an app. I give them everyone's beer in advance. They check beer in, and then as folks need beer or ice, they scan a QR code and can order it. These guys come around on golf carts in 2 minutes and deliver it. So I think I mean, our feedback from out-of-state brewers is like, holy cow, this makes it so much more worth it. You don't have to flag someone down when you're busy. Your beer's not getting warm. I think that makes it really, really smooth on the back end once you're on site. And before that, I mean, I'm planning next year's right now already.
Yeah.
It's nonstop.
I know from personal experience of running a beer festival, the logistics of it heading up to it is sometimes just a nightmare. I'm sure having that year of of time to be able to get through and get things figured out and planned. I mean, when it comes to even advertising and figuring things out, volunteers, I mean, probably a hard part too. How have you guys worked on that? Like, I know, and this is more just me asking because I've run this, like, how do you know how many you need and how do you get them? Like,
Yeah, we have 100 volunteers that come up throughout the weekend. We hire a volunteer coordinator, and she emails everyone. But because we've been doing this for 32 years, we have so many loyal folks that come back every year. They bring their whole family. As soon as a kid turns 21, they start volunteering. So we have all these veteran volunteers, and we don't really need to tell them what to do anymore. They're kind of like staff now. But volunteers get a free ticket to the session and a free t-shirt. So I think they find a lot of value in it. We also have a lot of tourists that will come and they'll be around that week and they'll be like, oh, I'd love to volunteer. We volunteer at our state's beer festival. So I think it's just folks that love the industry and understand what you need to do as a volunteer. And we've just gotten really lucky with our volunteers.
And from a brewer perspective, like, it's so nice to be able to, we're not even like setting up our own tents and like supplies. It's like volunteers like swarm you to come and help. So it's, again, this like collaborative, cool Vermont, everybody's helping out, everybody's lending a hand, and it's just so smooth. And even from, all of our friends want to jump in and help pour at our event too. So it's not just on, for brewers that might have a smaller crew or skeleton crew, they're not pulling from their tap rooms necessarily to come pour. Like, we'll have volunteers can pour as long as they go through the proper training and licensing. So it's really nice that it's a fun event and people just want to be a part of it.
That's cool. How about that educational aspect? What did you guys what kind of feedback have you gotten from the past 2 weeks since it's gone, and what people liked, and what pieces hit the hardest or the most impactful, like from brewer side, from people that were just there? I mean, what are some things that you guys see are a positive thing going forward with that educational aspect? This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.
Honestly, we've only gotten good feedback so far. So that's been great to hear. I think we'll definitely keep the fermentation tent. We cap it at 60 people, and we've been selling that out so we could grow that to more folks if there's interest. I think we could maybe do 2 per 4-hour session, or maybe we take the fermentation tent and do it outside of the festival and we host it at a brewery. Maybe not just a pairing dinner, because those have been done, but a real like fermentation educational component with just some samples.
Very nice. Let's talk ticketing strategy again. The fact that you guys did come up with this, I mean, was this obviously a response to what's been going on, but how do you feel that it going forward, this will be an additional thing to be able to welcome people, bring in more, because you guys are so close to the border, it has to be like you said, being neighborly and being able to bring people across. I mean, how long did that discussion happen beforehand, before you guys decided, before it came out and was announced? I mean, why did you want to do it?
From a board perspective, Emma brought us this idea, and I think it was immediately like, yes, there wasn't a second thought from us. Again, we've already talked about, festivals, ticket sales have been low. Like, what are other strategies we can use? And this one just immediately made sense to us. I know there's ski resorts that have been doing it as well. So, utilizing some of the strategies that other, tourism type businesses in Vermont utilize just seemed to make sense to us.
And I will say, in our media outreach with our at-par ticketing strategy, the Daily Show picked it up and they were on site. So Jordan Klepper came down and they were interviewing, me, our state treasurer on site, but also some Canadian brewers, attendees, both American and Canadian. And that segment should come out in the next few weeks. So I think that'll be, an awesome push to just show our support for Canadians here in Vermont.
Very neat. Let's talk just a little bit about, you working at the VBA, both of you, Nina and Emma. How has your background shaped what is happening in Vermont? Like, why did you want to be a part of this, and what is important to you about making beer, a forefront in the state?
I can take it first. So I started in 2019 as an intern. COVID happened and I graduated college. I was working for a few different startups, realized I hated the startup culture, and I really wanted to do something with a social and economic impact for the state. A job opening happened at the Vermont Brewers Association as the events and marketing coordinator. I rolled with it for about 8 months until the executive director resigned and was offered to be interim executive director as the board did a job search. I put my name in the hat and then became executive director. So super young, a lot of work and professional development to do this. But I mean, this is now my community. All of these brewers are my friends and also our members. So I think for me, I just want to see them survive and I want to be there to support them. And we have an economic impact of $480 million a year, which is number one per capita. Again, a small state, but huge impact. And I want, the tourism and to see that and to understand that beer brings in a ton of money to Vermont and that we should protect that and protect our brewers.
And then I have a kind of a slightly different background. I'm actually an insurance accountant, and my partner is the co-owner and head brewer at Good Measure. And so I have a lot of experience on nonprofit boards. So kind of got roped in more from the financial background side. A lot of brewers don't really like to talk about financial statements. So that's kind of where I came in. But really kind of looking more forward thinking and putting in, talking about the strategic direction of the Vermont Brewers Association. Where do we want to see ourselves in 5 years? And how are we going to have, the money to do and accomplish those goals? So, and same with Emma, I grew up in Vermont. I love the state. When I turned 21, it's like, how many breweries can you go to? So, wanting to not only support, the industry, but also, the impact that it does have on the state.
Awesome. Why did you want to be a part of the leadership team?
I kind of fell into the role a little bit. But again, nobody really loves to talk about financial statements, and it's sort of what I do every day. So have no problem jumping in. I also think it's kind of a different perspective since I'm not in the brewery every day, being able to ask more questions, kind of think about things maybe from a different perspective than the people who are in the brewery every day. And I think that it's a cool makeup that we have of our board. We have representatives from some of the larger breweries, and then we have some representatives from, the smaller breweries who maybe don't have a ton of staff members. So, between me kind of being an outside participant and the different sizes and makeups of breweries, it really has developed a cool board that I think it works really well together, but it provides a lot of different perspectives that I think allows for a lot of membership buy-in into the organization.
Awesome. And Emma, you've been doing this a few years now. How has, being a leader of a fairly known beer state, that how obviously had to have been a daunting challenge to first come in and take a look at the big picture and still realize there's day-to-day things to do, but still, push Vermont beer ahead. I mean, how's your leadership changed over the years, do you feel?
I have great support. I feel like I've built an awesome network through our lobbyist. We know a lot of the state legislators now. We invite them to come down to the festival, go to DC with the Brewers Association and do hill climb. I think it made me really good at networking, and I can lean on those folks as we have problems and as we see things, especially legislatively coming up. We have this whole group of folks that see the impact and understand it, and are there to support us if we need to shut down a bill or if we need support on a bill.
Awesome.
And that's totally new for me. So I've really enjoyed, stepping into that and learning the ins and outs of lobbying.
Absolutely. And there's always something new going on. There's always something that you have to keep your ear to the ground. What is the future right now for you guys? Like, what are you looking at, hoping to change, things that you're fighting? What's new in Vermont for you guys as a beer state?
Yeah, we've had 2 distributors close in the last few years that primarily supported our smaller breweries. So we only have 2 big distributors left. And we're just looking at, our distribution laws and how can we have advantages for our smaller brewers that might not be picked up by a distributor and don't need distribution within the state fully, but they would love to get a log to the hotel down the street that's having a wedding. And right now they can't do that unless they go through the distribution license process, which is money and time. So we're just looking at different options, seeing what our neighboring states are doing in those examples, and drafting up some legislation around that.
And another thing that pops up, I think, probably it seems like every year at this point, is taxing and taxation on alcohol, different percentages or flat tax increases. That would have a big impact on breweries, big and small. And so I think that's sort of an easy one for us to really, show our membership, the difference that we're making, that like this, hey, we helped, cancel this bill. We're saving you potentially X amount of dollars. So that's always kind of, I think, one that keeps popping up because for, different reasons.
Yeah, everyone's looking for money and they tend to look at alcohol first.
Exactly. Well, I want to kind of wrap up this part. I do like to end with some fun questions, but I kind of want to give you guys the platform as members of a state guild. Why is being a part of your state guild so important to any brewery in any state? Nina, I'll start with you.
I mean, it's a club you want to be a part of. I think between the networking, the knowledge, the collaboration, it just makes sense for us. Like, we've gained so much more than we've put in from being part of the VBA. The marketing, the connections, the education. It's also been growing so much. It's exciting to kind of figure out what's next. And so, it's always something we want to be a part of and support. And that's outside of things like, the lobbying benefit and being able to kind of have an inside scoop of what's going on from a lobbying perspective.
Yeah, Emma, same thing. I mean, you have to go and talk to people and, glad hand and stuff like, I've come across some breweries that are just like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to be a part of this. How do you change their mind?
Our membership dues are really low. We try and make it really accessible for folks to join. On the data side, we have a Passport digital app with 20,000 active users. 75% of them are out of state. All the brewers that are in our association are on that Passport app and can directly see how much income being a part of the VBA and being on that app brings back to their tap room as folks want to go around the state and get a free hat, a free shirt. So that's the base level. If anyone ever asks me, like, why should I join? I'll be like, hey, Brewery A actually made $20,000 from being on the Passport app this year. Your dues are $375. Do the math. So that's the basis. And then, as Nina was saying, we can look at our lobbying efforts and look at the taxes. And 2 years ago, they wanted to raise the taxes on 6% beers or less over 100%, which for the smallest brewery, that would be $30,000 a year. That's half of someone's salary. So we say, like, by being a part of the VBA, you have access to share your stories and share them with legislators, and we can squash these types of bills. So for me, it's a no-brainer, but that's also my job all day, is to support these brewers. And we have 86% of the breweries in the state of Vermont are a part of the guild. And those that aren't, don't have a malt manufacturing license. So in our bylaws, to join, you need to have a malt manufacturing license. You can't just be a brand that contract brews in Vermont.
Awesome. Well, best of luck to you guys. I always love seeing strong guilds working, putting great things out between conferences and festivals and education. Always really important. And I thank you guys for that. But I do like ending with some fun, get to know you type questions. just to get outside the beer realm a little bit, and I'll go back and forth. So Emma, we'll start with you. Nina, you can follow, and then we'll go to you for the to start on the second one. What is the weirdest food combination that you secretly love and other people cannot stand, Emma?
Oh God. I hate to say this, but I'm like a chicken tender girl. I don't have a big palate. um, but like I love mac and cheese with hot dogs cut up and then like ketchup all over it. And I feel like a lot of people think that's disgusting, but that is my comfort meal.
There you go. How about you, Nina?
Well, me and Emma are definitely the same. Like I have the palate. I eat like a kindergartner. So probably not a lot of weird food combinations, but I think maybe one weird thing is I love like to eat tortilla chips in the morning. It's like my favorite. Like I call them my breakfast chips. So I feel like that one I get like comments on, like, what are you doing eating tortillas, like plain tortilla chips at 10 a.m. So.
I may have to start doing that's my nighttime snack, but I've always been like, why do you have to buy them in the largest bag possible? Why can't they be available in vending machines and not with flavor like Dorito flavors and stuff like that? Just plain chips are fine with me as well. So
seems like there's a market. 2 out of 3.
There we go. You heard it here first. All right, Nina, who was your favorite teacher growing up and why?
Oh boy. Probably my 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Munson. I don't know necessarily why, but she obviously just popped into my head. I think it was just a fun year with a lot of crafts. I love doing like arts and crafts projects still. So I think it was just like, we got to do a lot of arts and crafts projects. So I still have some. When she retired, I got some of my old art and it's like still hanging in my house now. So it's not the best, but I still remember Mrs. Munson. So if you're listening, I love you.
That's awesome. How about you, Emma?
Mr. Esposito, he was my high school math teacher. He made math so much fun. And I think that's why I love spreadsheets now. And like why I can crush numbers and, do the finances. So I think I owe a lot to him for making it fun. And I'm also a big gossiper with the VBA. I keep my mouth shut, but I feel like I love, gossiping, and he would give us extra credit if we gossiped about other students to him. So that was really fun.
That is fantastic. All right, we'll kind of go back into the beer world to wrap things up. And we'll start with you, Emma. Which brewery do you wish that you had opened yourself, or is there a beer brand that you wish you had come up with?
Huh. Oh God, that's a tough question. I think I love the idea of a brewery with really good food. So like a zero gravity where you can go and you can sit outside on their huge deck and you can bring your dog and there's always going to be a table for you and your friends. And then you could get a burger as you're like 3 beers deep. I think that's like my favorite type of experience. And I wish I was a part of Zero Gravity 21 years ago when they were founded.
How about you, Nina?
Me and Emma are like on the same wavelength because I feel
that's
like
why we work well together.
I would say Zero Gravity as well. I think it's an easy spot to grab a beer. Everybody is really friendly. I love their marketing. I think they do such a great job with not only labels, but just, their social media. And I just think they're crushing it in terms of, the styles of beers that they're putting out, their food menu, and just like the overall vibe that they've got going on there. So, and also love bringing dogs to their patio. So.
Very cool. Well, I'm glad to get to know you guys a little bit, talk a little bit about the importance of state guilds, and best of luck to the next year of the Vermont Brewers Festival. Congratulations on what you guys have going, and best of luck going forward.
Thanks so much, John.
Thank you.
This Brewer Mag podcast is sponsored by Keg Logistics. Now's the perfect time to review your keg management strategy. Whether you're seeking a truly flexible keg rental program or intrigued by the seamless distribution freedom of paper fill, Keg Logistics is ready to craft a personalized solution for you, ensuring you receive the kegs you need precisely when you need them. For details, visit keglogistics.com/brewermag. Keg Logistics, modern solutions for keg efficiency.